So you guys read the title of the video correctly. Mouthwash was killing me. And I know that that's crazy to hear. And I know that that sounds super weird because I honestly didn't believe it at first either. But let me tell you the story and kind of give you guys a warning as to why you may want to avoid it yourself. So it all starts in 2018. I was going to the dentist and they were like, hey, do you do mouthwash daily? And I'm like, no, I do water pick and then I do mouthwash just, from time to time. And he was like, well, you should probably do it daily. It's a great habit to get into. It kills germs. It's good for your breath, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, I was like, all right, great. I'll start doing this. So I essentially went on Amazon. I found one that had really good reviews and I bought it. I put it on the little subscribe thing. So it came monthly, all set. Started using it, noticed that it was making my breath fresher, thought it was great, got into the daily habit, ended up starting to do it twice a day, and didn't think much of it. So fast forward a couple months down the road and I started getting some weird symptoms. And honestly, at the time, I was not tying it to mouthwash. And the symptoms included, I was getting some anxiety, which I had never had in my life. And honestly, didn't even know what it was at first. I was getting heart palpitations and racing heart, and my blood pressure was elevated. And again, I had no idea what was going on. On top of that, I was getting stomach aches and just weird dreams and kind of feeling just really out of it. And I ended up going to the doctor who thought that it was pheochromocytoma, which is a crazy disease where essentially you get like a little cyst or tumor inside of your adrenal gland, because they thought what was happening was that something in my adrenal gland was basically raising my cortisol levels and causing all my heart fluctuations, such as blood pressure, as well as racing heart and everything else. So I was rushed out to a hospital called Mayo Clinic, and they did a bunch of studies and basically tested everything, scanned everything, and realized that nothing bad was going on in the adrenal gland, which was great. But they couldn't really point to what was causing it. They said, let's just keep an eye on it. We're gonna prescribe you some beta blockers for now. And other than that, you should be good to go. So I left Mayo Clinic, and Mayo Clinic's interesting. It's a hospital where they kind of do everything all under one roof. So I was there for a few days, and while I was there, I stopped taking mouthwash. And so I left and I was like, okay, well, something needs to change because I don't know what's going on. And I ended up just kind of going more of like a natural diet route. I stopped doing mouthwash, but at the time, again, I hadn't really put the two together yet. I kind of just naturally stopped it and started doing, I think, like an oral rinse from one of our health stores nearby. It was all natural and didn't have any harsh chemicals or anything. And from a diet standpoint, I basically tried to clean up as much as possible. I was already eating pretty healthy, but basically just tried to keep it as natural as possible. And within weeks, everything turned around. And I thought it was more diet related, and I had no idea it was mouthwash related until this year. So late last year, which was 2022, I started getting the symptoms again, and I couldn't really understand why. And it got progressively worse until January and February of this year, where it was really bad. It was way worse than the first time around. And I had no idea what was going on. I went to a different doctor this time, and she asked me, she's like, do you use mouthwash? And I was like, yes, I do. I use it every day. And if I forgot to mention, I had actually just restarted mouthwash last summer in July. So this was about a 6-month difference this time around, just like the first time. And I was on the exact same mouthwash as the first time around. It was an Amazon, just auto refill subscription. And she's like, well, you need to stop that right now. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, mouthwash not only kills everything in your mouth, even if you intend to or not, you still swallow small parts of it. And the problem is it can actually build up in your gut over time and just completely wreck your gut flora and your microbiome. I had a suspicion that mouthwash probably wasn't the best for you because, after all, a sterile mouth isn't a healthy mouth. You still want like the good bacteria in there. And it's not like mouthwash can single out bad bacteria versus good bacteria. It's just a blanket kill-all solution, right? So essentially she's like, you need to get off that right now, and you should probably stop fluoride toothpaste for a little while just to let your gut and your mouth re-heal. And so I did some research online and looked elsewhere, and it turns out that a lot more people are starting to realize that mouthwash is actually pretty bad for you. And not only that, but there's been some studies that apparently link mouthwash to higher blood pressure, as well as a host of other issues related to the heart. There's a lot of evidence out there that points to bad oral health and bad cardiovascular health. And interestingly enough, those were some of the effects that I was feeling when on the mouthwash. So I stopped the mouthwash and canceled my subscription for good. And it's been about 7 weeks now since I stopped that. About 2 weeks ago was the last of my symptoms. They're completely gone now. And it is wild to think that mouthwash was the culprit. So I wanted to just share this video with you guys, more of like a warning and a heads up. I think everybody has a different gut and a different biome in general. So there's probably certain people out there that mouthwash won't affect whatsoever. But for other individuals, it's definitely something you want to pay attention to. If you've had weird symptoms that you just can't figure out, It might be as simple as mouthwash or fluoride toothpaste that you want to take a look at. One thing to keep in mind that in the US, we only do single dose toxicity, which means that they only look to see if something is toxic one time you take it, whereas in the EU, they do compounding toxicity. So if something builds up in your system over time, is it toxic? I wish we did compounding toxicity here because I think a lot more things would be banned. But since we only do single toxicity here, I think a lot of things slip through the cracks, and I think mouthwash is one of those. So that's my ramble. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up. Hopefully you found this video helpful. Let me know in the comments if you've experienced any issues with mouthwash on your end, and please consider subscribing because I'm trying to grow the channel. So thank you very much, and I'll see you next video.